do you have, I guess better than asking if you've got faith in them to live up to the pledges, are you going to be working with them specifically on climate?
I'm here as a purely I'm a foot soldier and spear carrier of the Conservative. I'm here in a purely supportive role, and to remind everybody remind the world of what we did at Glasgow, which I think was fantastic, and I'm genuinely proud of it. I think it was groundbreaking. I think the Glasgow Climate Pact was a great achievement, and I know that the present government also understands that and wants to take it forward.
I appreciate that you're here in a supportive role. I dare say myself and others imagine that it's also been a bit of an instigating role. And one of the questions or many of the questions from the audience that I'm getting are born out of curiosity of, were you worried when you initially heard that the current Prime Minister was not planning on attending it, especially after your hosting of this conference last year?
Look, the PM's here, and I'm glad he's here. He's made an outstanding speech the other day. I think he's on absolutely the right lines. I'm here basically to make the key point I've made to you, which is I think that the risk is that some people will go weak and wobbly on net zero. We can't have that. And also just to remind everybody of the spirit of Glasgow, which, as I say, I propose to incarnate before you today. Have you been to Glasgow?
I've never been to Glasgow.
Weren't you at Glasgow?
I wasn't there, but my ancestors are from Glasgow.
Is that right?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You look like you could be a kind of Glaswegian. Yeah, definitely.
Well, now I'm a mutt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a what?
I'm a mutt of many different
things. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Well, I guess I want to ask you about, I guess more of kind of an emotional question or personal question about all of this. I mean, you've been expressing quite a bit of optimism, and it seems like the spirit of Glasgow to you is one of optimism. But I think there's still a great deal of doubt, especially among young people, that we're on the right track here. I think that you just have to look at the novels that are coming out today, or the TV shows and things like that. And a lot of that comes from just how far we are from actually living up to the pledges that are necessary. I mean, do you lie in bed at night looking at the ceiling, thinking we're failing here?
Yeah, we are at the current rate. We are. Be in no doubt that the disaster impends. And I've got this thing is real, and you can see the effects of it around the world. And we've got to do much more. I think one of the achievements that I thought was important at Glasgow was the declaration on forests, when the world agreed that 145 countries said that they were going to stop deforestation by 2030. But I've got to tell you, folks, in the last year, I don't see any sign of a reduction in the scale of the destruction in the forests of the world. It's absolutely catastrophic, and we need to work harder. I think that what's changing is that we probably now do have the technological fixes to stop man-made climate change and to get to net zero. I think we can probably do that for fossil fuels. But if we're going to stop, but 20% of CO2 comes from deforestation. What are we going to do about that? That's a massive challenge. And I think you're right. I think young people really want us to go further and faster, and they are very, very impatient.
I think you have spoken about how how difficult of a period this is, and it's certainly a difficult period for people in Britain who are paying enormously high energy prices, and people all over the world who are facing even higher inflation and higher prices. How do we get through that period and not face and have this blackmail, as you describe it, not take root in public displeasure at having their livelihoods and checkbooks so fully interrupted by this?
That's exactly the question, and people are struggling and people are hurting, and they can feel the impact of the spike in energy prices every day. And as I said, it's not just in the UK; it's around the world. They're seeing the effects of that inflation. The answer is not to renew our addiction to hydrocarbons and to give in. The answer is and that's why I'm here. The answer is to accelerate the adoption of green solutions, and that's why we're going for 50 gigawatts of wind in the UK. I mean, that's a colossal amount. By the way, we only need about 100 gigawatts of electricity a day anyway. So 50 gigawatts is a huge amount of wind power to be building. 25 gigawatts of nuclear we're going for, as I said earlier. The solution is to move ahead with green solution with a green approach,
but of course,
and in the short term, of course, you have to abate the costs, the impact for people who are feeling it. And that's what the government is doing, and that's why I support what Rishi is doing, what the government is doing to help people in tough times.